Welcome to Enlightenment with Colby Hurd. Prepare yourself for some powerful information that will motivate, inspire, and uplift you. And now, your host, Colby Hurd.
Welcome back to Enlightenment, and of course we want to welcome our guest on the show today, Ms. Nicole Cleveland. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Colby.
Absolutely, and thank you for being with us today. Now, right off the top, who is Nicole Cleveland?
Who is Nicole Cleveland? I am a wife, I am a mother, I am a woman that loves the Lord, and I'm on a mission. I am on a mission to tell my testimony, tell my story, to make sure other women are not alone. You know, we go through different circumstances and different trials, and when we go through, we think we're alone. I want people to know that they are not alone, and they do not have to suffer in secret. Someone, somewhere, has been where they are right now. They've cried the same tears that they're crying right now. But you know what, Colby? They made it. And I want other people to know that they can make it too. So that's who I am. I'm just a little old black child that loves the Lord and wants to help people.
Well, thank you. Now, let's talk about your book, So He Cheated, Now What? What made you to decide to write this book?
Well, Colby, it was about, I believe, 6 years ago. My husband, 2004, it's 2011 now, so about 7 years, my husband had an affair. We were married. We were really busy in the church. He's a minister in the church, and we were just busy in all different auxiliaries doing a bunch of stuff, and it was stuff. And the enemy creeped in, and he had an affair. He had an affair, and he was going to continue to have an affair until I set the rules and some guidelines, and decided to put him out. And he left, and he continued with the affair, had a baby with the woman from the affair.
Had a baby? Had
a baby, Colby.
Now, all of this is in this book, and so,
Absolutely, and all of us are flesh. We're housed in this flesh, and this whole flesh don't want to do right. So therefore, it happened, and it happened in the church. And it is happening now in the church, whether folks want to talk about it or not. And
so, thousands of women are watching and say, there's no way in the world. If my husband did that to me, I'd be gone, he would be gone. There's no way in the world that I would stay in a situation. What made you stay?
I loved my husband, and I loved my family. I didn't want to stay. I didn't want to stay at first. And I have a sanctified Church of God in Christ mother-in-law, and I tell you, she would say, "You make your bed in hell, that's where you're gonna lay." She did not take up for no mess.
Wow.
And she would always tell me, and I would be talking to her on the phone, and she would always say, "Love the person, hate the sin, Nicole." And I didn't understand that at first. And then I had to find myself, because I was forgiven. Lord knows I didn't do everything right all my life. So therefore, if I was forgiven by the Lord, why would not extend that same grace, that same mercy, and forgive my husband?
How do you rebuild the trust in the relationship after someone has cheated? Our viewers are watching, and they're saying, man, you know, she is a strong woman.
Yeah. But I wasn't always. I was not Wonder Woman flying across buildings all the time with a cape on. It was hard in the beginning, but rebuilding trust is twofold. Two people have to be involved in the trust building. A lot of times when an affair occurs in a marriage, it's just one person that's trying to rebuild the trust, and it can't happen that way. In the beginning, when my husband would leave, he would call me. Everywhere that he went, he was riding down the street, he'd call me. If he was at the store, he'd call me. If he went into the club, he would call me. If he went somewhere else, he would call me. If he was exercising, he would call me. Everywhere he went, he was always in touch with me. In the beginning, that was sort of like a safety net for me, because I knew there was no questions. If he took a break at work, he would call me. He would be on the phone with me, and I felt so good, because what he was doing was he was ensuring me of he was trying to make this thing work. A lot of times, there's no type of, the wife wants to rebuild, but the husband is just like, I've done it. It's over with, get over it, get over it. So it's done. And that's not right. My husband allowed me to have the feelings that I felt. Sometimes I would have a flashback, and I would remember what was going on before and how, you know, it happened or how it occurred. And he allowed me to talk it out. He allowed me to process what I was feeling without saying, gosh, when are you ever going to get over this? Like others would do. He just took it. I mean, and, you know, it meant so much much to me because he allowed me to walk through the whole process. So one, rebuilding trust, it takes two. Okay. There needs to be some type of communication going on at all times. And a lot of times people would say, I'm not calling her every time I go somewhere. Now, does he do it? No. And at first, it really got on my nerves, you know, after a while, because I was like, okay, you just got to work, that's fine. But I appreciated it. Wonderful. Because if he had not done that, then I would have been wondering, where are you at? What are you doing? Yeah. You know, when he went places, he would take me with him all the time. The phone, having the phone in sight. You know, people think that that's not a big deal. It is a big deal because people would hide. He would hide phones before, you know, turn it off, you know, it's always broke, you know, things of that nature. Mm-hmm. But it was because you were hiding something. Now the phone is always in reach. You know, I could take the phone if I wanted to. In the beginning, it was the same way. The phone was always there. There was no type of, this is mine, this is yours, this is my business, that's your business. No, baby doll. We are a team, and if you do, I do. So that's how it was. So rebuilding trust it's a process, but it takes two.
Wonderful. Now, our viewers are watching the show. We've been talking about the book all throughout the show. So he cheated, now what? How can people purchase this book? How can they get it?
Well, I'm glad you asked that because we want people to purchase the book. And a lot of times people will say, I'm not purchasing that book. It may happen in my marriage. You know, that's taboo if I purchase it. But we all know somebody that has gone through this. If you haven't gone through it yourself, then you know somebody that's going through it. You can go to sohecheated.com, and it has all the information on there. You can pull it up, you can click it, and you can purchase it right from my website, or you can buy it, you can purchase it through Amazon.
Amazon, okay.
Or Lulu. It's on Lulu, Amazon, and my website.
And so how can people contact you? They're watching, they're saying, you know what, I want to bring you to speak at our marriage conference or workshop, or we have a healing ministry for women's healing group, or you know, people that have been broken all over. You know, how can they contact you? You know, the phone number, Facebook, how can they?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because 2011, I am starting a church tour. Okay. It's a church ministry tour where I am going around to different churches, and I'm going to be talking about this subject. I'm going to be telling my testimony everywhere I go, taking my books with me, trying to get the message out there that your marriage can be restored. You can find pain, you can find purpose through your pain. They can reach me via email at NicoleCOnline@gmail.com. Or they can call me, 757-404-1582. Of course, go to my website, sohecheated.com, and it has all my Facebook, my YouTube, my Twitter accounts, and just connect with me.
I'm going to have to bring you back. You know, we're just kind of scratching the surface of this, and so we're going to have to get you back on the show. But I want to thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed myself.
Been a pleasure. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, please go out and purchase her book, So He Cheated, Now What? You can log on sohecheated.com and find out more information about Nicole Cleveland's book, other things that she does as well, and support her. Support our dear sister. Be a blessing to her, all right? Thank you so much for being with us, and we'll see you on next week.
This has been Enlightenment with Colby Hurd. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, or if you have church or community news, email enlightenmentwithcolbyhurd@gmail.com. Until next week, be blessed.